Hello and welcome to Working with What You Got. I am your host, Renee Joshua Porter, and I am so glad that you tuned in today. Remember, our program is all about you realizing that you have more than you think you have. You have more time, you have more money, you have more resources, you have more food, you have more faith, you have more people on your side, and it is time to unknot your mind. Well, the show is going to be different today. We're not going to start off like we always do cooking. What we're going to do for the month of June is to show different genres of people working with what they got in the performing arts. So I figured no better way than to premiere a documentary that I filmed about 3 years ago called Until Then. The inspiration behind Until Then was to interview different women of various ages that are single and have them discuss their faith, have them discuss men, have them discuss the possibility of remaining single forever. It became a very, very interesting project, and we're going to show it tonight. So you stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy Until Then, and then we'll be back and we'll talk further.
Yes, I
Okay. So help me God.
Yeah, I do.
So help me God, yes I do.
So help me God.
I surely do.
I know you know me this long. You think I'm going to sit up here and lie on film? Yes. I would do this without the Bible.
How old are you?
I just turned 50.
22.
22. 20.
36.
53.
48. 44.
63.
I am 47. See, never asked a woman that.
Hey, how long have you been single?
About 10 years.
For 2 years. About 2 years.
Almost a year.
I left my ex-husband in 1989.
My husband passed away in 91.
In 91.
And how many of your closest friends are single? Would you say about 20%, 30%, more than 50?
50%.
I would say 90%.
Yeah, more than 50%. Say about 20%.
At least 50%.
30%.
A very small percentage.
I would say 5%.
Do you have any type of religious faiths or beliefs that you adhere to?
Yes, I'm a Christian.
I am a Christian. I do believe in Jesus Christ.
Christian.
I'm a Christian.
I'm Christian.
I believe in the Word of God.
Believe in God.
I was raised Christian, Christian household, but lately I've been studying different tenets of Judaism.
I am a born-again Christian.
What attracts you to a man?
Good manners. Gentleness.
Personality.
His love for God, his passion in it, his worship, his love for God, his passion for God, his passion for people, tall, dark, and handsome.
Consideration. That's number one. A nice smile. And he has to love God. A man who loves the Lord. Okay. That is the sexiest thing to me. Kindness, gentleness. A man who loves the Word.
Likes a lot of the things that I love. Like, I love God, I love music, I love dancing. Someone who's funny, what they believe in, where they're going in life.
Ambition, physical attractiveness, humor, definitely a relationship with God. He'd have to believe as I believe.
So then you date a midget?
I wouldn't date anybody like that.
No. I don't know, maybe. Doubt it.
I would maybe consider it less than I would somebody who was, you know, the tall, handsome type, but it wouldn't rule him out completely.
No, I wouldn't date a dwarf. That's my shallow side.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have one.
I guess he could be, but I don't know if I would be attracted to that.
No, I'm not that open-minded. I'm not that open-minded.
I can get at least 20 of them in my car.
Okay. And
What do you do to make yourself more attractive?
I don't know. I don't think I really do anything. I just be myself. I'm happy, smile a lot, try not to be down, you know.
That humor for me makes me attractive. When I'm in a good state of mind, I feel more attractive.
If you're going to be attracted to me, you're just going to be attracted to me anyway, because if you meet me at a party and I'm all dolled up, wow, she looks great, whatever, that's not what I look like at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Superficially, you know, that's grooming, that's dressing, right? That's the superficial side. I've learned, and it's been hard, but I've learned to be the difference, you know, to be what it is that that I want to create in my life. So I just try to create that space in my life for myself. I think that's attractive, the fact that I'm working on it within myself. And it's not always hairstyle or the clothing that I'm wearing. Sometimes it's choice of words. Sometimes it's in silence. I find that to be attractive, just being the difference first.
Do you see other women as competition?
No.
No.
Not at all.
No.
No.
Yes.
You do?
Always.
No.
Do they see you as competition?
I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
Do I think that they see me as competition? Yes. Do I see them as competition? No, because I believe that God has someone specifically for me.
They might, but I feel as if, I feel when women go towards judging a woman based on her perceived unhappiness or the fact that she's jealous, I feel as if sometimes we're speaking into existence, you know, where our voids are.
Of course.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because some people don't appreciate you as being you. They think you're trying to be maybe somebody else, and the competition comes in because people are jealous of you because you're you, instead of realizing that's just who you are. You're not trying to be more than who you are.
I think that I have the ability to make other women act really badly in my presence.
How do you feel about the thought of being single for the rest of your life?
I don't like that feeling at all. I mean, no matter, I don't know. I just feel that, you know, there's definitely somebody that I'm supposed to marry and spend the rest of my life with.
Not crazy about the idea, no. But if that's what God has in mind, then I'm sure He's going to give me the grace to handle that. Because there are days I wake up and I think it would be nice to have somebody here. It would be nice to have somebody to take care of or talk to or share that part of my life. But there's other days I wake up, I'm single, and I'm happy as a clam.
Well, it is a journey to go on, but no, I would like to have a partner.
I felt that I've had to almost reconcile myself that could happen. And I'm not sure that I'm entirely okay with it. I enjoy being with me. I enjoy my own company immensely. But I've thought about what it might be to be alone.
It really disturbs me, but I just don't think like that's what God has for me.
I don't look at it as something that is dreadful. To me, it's kind of, I have an option, and I like the fact that it's my choice whether I can say, okay, if I do remain single for the rest of my life, I look at that as that's my chance to bring God more glory, because I won't be tied down to a family or having to please somebody else or just having someone constantly that I have to pay attention to. I can just focus all my energy, all my passion on doing whatever God has called me to do. However, if that's not the case, then I'll still be happy either way.
I thought about it.
You like it? You like that thought?
I still deal with a fear of being alone. I'm not yet there with it. Sometimes I feel strong enough where I think I can handle that, and there's times where I'm like, no way. I would feel incomplete. Who would judge me? What would they think? What would they say? That part comes out.
A long time ago, I told the Lord, after I left my ex-husband, that if it meant I had to be single for the rest of my life, I wasn't going to go back into a bad relationship like what I had before, and that I wanted God to be my husband first. So if God is my husband first, singleness has a different perspective than what the world would say.
I don't like that thought.
Okay.
I don't like that thought because I know God has somebody for me.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to leave me. He said he wouldn't.
Okay. So you don't want to be single?
No.
Okay. So...
Not forever.
Not forever. Okay.
Tomorrow, the weekend. Yes. I want to continue the weekends.
I don't like it
You don't like
at
it?
all.
No. What do you feel about dating?
Well, I'm so old on dating. You know, and I'm so, didn't have a date for so many years that I don't know how to think about dating. To me, right now, dating would be scary to me. You know, it would be scary to me because I didn't do that. I didn't do that much in my life.
I felt that it was okay to date. But after going through some transitions of my own, I realize now when the word says, guard your heart with all diligence, there's a reason for it. Sometimes we think in our minds we're strong enough to handle certain things, and we may even be strong, powerful women in the word and know the word and be spiritually anointed and all those kind of things. But the heart sometimes wants what it wants. And sometimes I don't say you don't have control over it, but it can throw you for a loop. I would date.
You would date?
Yeah.
So you think dating is fine?
Yeah.
Dating in groups or dating by yourself?
I prefer a group, but I don't mind by myself.
You don't mind by yourself?
Yeah.
How about going over to a guy's house for a date?
Oh, no.
No?
No.
Suppose you went on dates with him a couple of times and he has a nice little studio and he says, come on, he just wants to cook you dinner and rent some movies and just hang out and chill.
No.
No?
Not by ourselves, at least. We could do it in a group, but...
Have you known him 6 months, 7 months?
No.
No, why?
I just don't feel it's necessary to put ourselves in positions that would open up doors.
I don't believe in dating.
You don't believe in dating? Why?
Because I just think, well, the way like the world perceives it, like dating, like just going on dates like randomly, just because I don't believe in that, because I think like it has to be more God-centered than just randomly going out with some guy just.
To me, dating just to be dating is it feels like kind of like a waste of time, energy, money, focus, if I don't think that I'll possibly have a future with that person.
No, I don't think it's a necessary part. But if you are going to participate, two people have to be on the same page because the word has a different experience for every person. I don't think it's necessary. I think the more centered you are, I think that you can be the difference and you can attract it. But I think that most of us just aren't centered, and most of us are in search, thinking that we will find ourselves in somebody else, that someone will complete us.
I don't think it's necessary. I think more the topic of business and taking care of your family and doing other things in life that make you happy in your heart, and going to church and seeking God and the scriptures and all of those other things could fill you up so much.
I'm open to dating. I like the idea of going out with a man.
Okay. Do you think that there needs to be any context or boundaries or parameters, or as two adults you are able to just take it as it comes?
Well, I've already set a standard for myself that I know I'm not going to break. And I wouldn't engage in premarital sex.
Go out as friends, and if it turns into more, then it does. But I don't go out to say, all right, we're dating. It's too much pressure there, to say, okay, I want to meet somebody because I want a wife. I want to meet somebody because I want a husband. How about I just want to meet somebody and see if we get along? So even if it's not a husband or a wife, at least you met a new friend.
And you guys have decided this is a committed relationship. How do you feel about kissing, about petting, about physical intimacy? Not sexual intercourse, but just the intimacy of kissing and petting.
I don't feel it should be done early in the dating stage, but I do feel that it'll lead to other things, especially if people are or have been intimate with other people, which is most people out there right now.
Right.
Well, I believe that you really can't play with fire and not expect to get burned. You know, I feel like, you know, there has to be a boundary with it, you know. But I like physical intimacy. I like to snuggle, you know. But unfortunately, you know, I just feel like you have to lay out the game plan with men. And even still, you can fail.
It is very loving. Mm-hmm. I think it is very comfortable and comforting. And it's special. It's very special.
Okay. Because, I don't know, where I stand as a Christian, you don't want to be too intimate. Okay. But I think holding hands, a kiss now and then, I don't know, if you get to know the person properly.
I would have to say no, because that would be something that we would have discussed from the beginning.
I think if it's not going to make them do something that they regret or make them fall into something that they believe is going to carry them away from their beliefs or from their morals, I think that it shouldn't be done. I think if they can handle it, if they can be able to restrain themselves at a certain point, like if it, you know, keeps going and they can say stop, then it's okay with me.
I find that sex, intimacy, touching, all of that is powerful, and I think that it can overwhelm the senses. And I think it's, unfortunately, reasons why people move to the next step. They're so overwhelmed with passion. It was great. And they try to make something long-term based off of that, but passion waxes and wanes. So then once that drops off, then there he is.
Not necessarily dating, but when you've come to a more committed place, kissing changes things, and you have to be prepared for that. It's soul stirring, and you have to guard your heart, and you don't want to have your soul stirred by the wrong person or just by this one and by that one. You're giving too much of yourself away.
I mean, I'll be putting myself in a tempting situation, and I've been single a long time. It don't take the fire long to get started. So why would I do that after waiting all this time? No.
Hugs, okay. Maybe a peck, but no further than that.
Okay. And why?
Like I said before, it opens up doors.
Okay.
So I just don't want to open up any, you know.
I have no problem with hand holding or hugs and stuff, but I know me. I'm not gonna lie. I know me. Ain't no use breaking out the mattress if you ain't gonna start a fire. You know what I mean? Just don't do it. You know, it's just like flee, run. You know, resist the devil. You know that's all it is.
What are your views on self-pleasure?
I like it.
Okay.
That's my view. I run to my Bible.
I think that's okay.
Definitely not.
It's selfish.
Okay.
Self-pleasure is selfish. It's about yourself. It's about pleasing yourself. And I don't believe that God is into that or wants us to really be into that kind of sexual stimulation.
Worshiping God.
Okay.
I am worshiping him. I am staying in his presence. Morning, noon, night, and afternoon.
Well, like the Bible says, put to death the flesh. So I think we should be putting to death those, you know, youthful lusts.
There are many preachers who preach against this, and I understand why. I don't think it's so much the physical act. I think it's the mental act. I think it's what you have to think about, what you have to imagine to get yourself there. And that's where the problem lies. Because once the imagination starts running, it's very hard to rein it back in. Very hard.
However, I do indulge in dancing. That's my form of self-pleasure. That's how I live on the wild side.
By very intense female friendships.
I think many women would replace male relationships, I think, with their work. You know, like your female friends, they're your sisters, you hang out or whatever. But even with intense female relationships, there is that aspect of masculinity that's just not there. And that's really what you're missing. But I think when you throw yourself into your work, you know, and you focus on that. I've seen more women do that, and that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid.
I don't know, I guess maybe in a way. I think it's harder to be, like, with my situation, it's harder for me to be around my friends that aren't single and see them interacting with, you know, their mate and their children.
But to me, this is no replacement for the male-female dynamic.
The absence of a man sometimes gets some women in a little trouble.
Explain, if you can.
Well, I'm real. I'm a woman. And if you get to like a friend at a certain degree, I think you have to be comfortable, because I always say, whether a man or whether a woman, this here is very sensitive. So you gotta be very careful. And sometimes that's how some people get into, you know, stuff that they shouldn't get into.
That could possibly happen. I can't say that it's happened to me, but I can see it happening.
I never really thought about that. I could say yeah. I could see. I don't know.
Do you think there's ever a problem with that?
No.
No?
No.
You don't think there's any potential problems with it?
I mean, I don't really see any.
Yeah, some do, yeah.
Do you think there's any problem with that?
It depends on the friend. Like, if the friend is married, then it's probably a problem. But if it's, you know, you both are single, I think it's okay.
Of course.
Yeah?
Of course.
Do you think anything right or wrong about that? How do you feel about that?
I just say be honest with yourself first and foremost. Know exactly what it is that you're doing. You know, and then there's the opposite. You have women who need to only be around a man who don't believe in having female friends. I think that there's a centeredness that we should always maintain in all facets of our life.
Do you see any harm or danger in that?
If it's too often and it's purposely to take the place of a man, I kind of do see a slight problem with it, because then it might lead to them becoming a lesbian, maybe, and I don't believe in that, or I don't believe it's right.
Women, since we are so much alike, that we understand each other better, in a sense, but we have to watch out for the other levels that we're not supposed to go into. Yeah.
Example. Give me an example.
Well, there's attractions now that are happening, and that's like not the way to go. The temptations or things that people are viewing in life right now, that it's not.
Technical Worldwide Tattoo Supply is one of the largest suppliers in the world and your #1 resource for top quality, affordable tattoo and piercing supplies. Technical Worldwide Tattoo Supply is the #1 supplier of tattoo inks in the world, with more than 200 products including Mom's Philadelphia Eddie's Traditional Inks, Paolini Sacred Color Inks, and more. Technical Worldwide Tattoo Supply, your one-stop shopping destination for great service, best prices, and top quality supplies. Coney Island Carlos vintage wines and premium spirits are undeniably distinctive. Selected for their unique, memorable flavor, Coney Island Carlos vintage wines and premium spirits are delivered to you in beautifully designed bottles featuring limited edition artwork. Coney Island Carlos vintage wines and premium spirits are available at affordable prices in fine restaurants, bars, and liquor stores. Or check www.coneyislandcarlo.com for availability. Technical Worldwide Tattoo Supply is one of the largest suppliers in the world and your #1 resource for top quality, affordable tattoo and piercing supplies. Technical Worldwide Tattoo Supply is the #1 supplier of tattoo inks in the world with more than 200 products including Mom's Ink, Philadelphia Eddie's Traditional Inks, Paolini Sacred Color Inks, and more. Technical Worldwide Tattoo Supply, your one-stop shopping destination for great service, best prices, and top quality supplies. Coney Island Carlos vintage wines and premium spirits are undeniably distinctive, selected for their unique, memorable flavor. Coney Island Carlos vintage wines and premium spirits are delivered to you in beautifully designed bottles featuring limited edition artwork. Coney Island Carlos vintage wines and premium spirits are available at affordable prices in fine restaurants, bars, and liquor stores. Or check www.coneyislandcarlo.com for availability.
It never should be the way, actually.
What is a soul tie?
The result of an event that occurred sexually with someone, and there are things that were a part of them that have now become a part of you because you had sexual relations, and that was the tie that happened, and it will remain there for a very long time.
I have my daughter, and my daughter, kids get silly, and I didn't see or hear from my daughter for a long time. I'm stringing my heart towards her. My relationship with my daughter is like a soul tie to me. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I just feel that a string in your heart holding on to someone.
I think, to me, it's being connected emotionally. You are emotionally connected.
Male, female, 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 male.
Oh, both. You can have a soul tie with both.
A soul tie, I think this happens in the spiritual realm. Soul ties aren't necessarily a good thing. I mean, you're bound to somebody for maybe all the wrong reasons.
I think it's somebody who just becomes such a part of you that you can't get them out of your head, you can't get them out of your heart, it's more like an addiction, I would say, than a relationship, because that person could be far away, you haven't seen them in years, but when you see them, you get that same adrenaline and stuff running. I mean, this person is still in your system.
Someone who you're intensely connected to and you can't really break away from them even if you want to.
What would be the greatest lessons you learned as a single woman?
You will survive. You will survive. It's scary at first. Especially because I met my ex-husband when I was young. So I went basically from my father's house to living with my husband. I really didn't have a lot of time to live on my own. And then when I got divorced, my mother was like, oh, what are you going to do about work? Where are you going to live? Where are you going to do this? And it's all it is, what are you going to do? And I had read this book called Crazy Time. And it said, before you were married, you'd never been married before. Before you had kids, you'd never had kids before. You got through this, you'll get through this. And it was true. It was just another phase. And it'll be hard. I had to learn things. I had to learn how to change my own oil in the car. I had to go back and learn about bills and insurance and this, because basically I let my ex-husband do everything. But I learned. And the world wasn't so scary anymore. It wasn't some place that was going to swallow me up and just go, gloom, despair, and misery on me. Anything can be learned, and you will survive.
Just respecting that we all have unique experiences, and that having a faith base to filter that experience so that the honesty and the truth comes out. That has been my biggest lesson. The fact that the people who I'm closest with, our faith-based, are shared.
A little more self-control. To pray more before I actually do things and think a little bit more. That's probably the lessons that I've learned. That not to rush into things, but to take it slow. Education is definitely #1. No matter where you get it, throughout your whole life. Even now, I want to go back to study. I want to continue to find out what else I want to do, because it's not finished. It doesn't end.
What is one of the biggest mistakes that you've made as a single?
not being clear on what I deserve in my life, not being clear about that before I make a move, not speaking to God about it first before I make a move, jumping too quick.
Buying my Dodge Durango. It is a gas guzzler. And I made a big mistake buying that truck because I was by myself. And, you know, a single woman, you shouldn't go to these car places by yourself. You know, I don't know engines, and I didn't know I was going to be a V8 engine and all this gas and a 1999 in this day and time. I didn't need that truck. I just didn't I made a bad mistake doing that. Bad.
And what do you think it stemmed from something?
Yeah, just emotions. I saw it, I wanted it, and I didn't have anybody with me and didn't think twice. And I just went and got it, and I made a big mistake. Yes, it's one of the biggest mistakes I made.
Now, what is
I say it every day when I start it.
And what do you think are one of the...
And it's for sale, by the way.
I guess the first thing I would say is leaving home early and not wanting to go back. I should have stood home with my mom and lived there longer and maybe do better. But being a single woman and just leaving and not going back and then having the hardship all throughout, because I brought up my daughter ever since she was 1 year old alone, and that's a big hardship.
And what would you say would be advice that you would give a single woman until he comes, what?
Oh, feel yourself. Just take care of yourself, be healthy, enjoy life, figure out what you want to do, what your skills are, what makes you happy. And definitely, like I said, just read the Bible, the scriptures, anything that could give you the right advice is going to come from God. I would say patience is key, but don't be afraid to take chances, because you might be saying no to something that's really supposed to be yes, you know, and not everything is God, so it's like you have to make sure that you're, I don't know, like closed for certain things. It's weird. Just to go slow and take your time, but be open-minded about everything that comes your way.
Invest in yourself. You can't put your all, and you can't invest in another person before knowing yourself and really, you know, knowing yourself and having a relationship with your maker. You know, I talk to God as like I talk to nobody else. You know, not that he doesn't know the things I'm saying and know the things that I've done, but you really have to have that kind of relationship.
Find you some business, as my mom would say. Find yourself some business. Do not devote your life to, and I know there's a lot of good books out there, the whole library of single women books and single man books, and, you know, you become this relationship expert. All of that's going to happen. It's nice to read a couple of books. It's nice to get some opinions, but don't make that your focus. Just keep God as your focus. And you never know. You know, it's like you just keep walking in his word, keep doing what he's telling you to do, keep walking in that direction. And if you meet him or her, you're going to meet him as you are serving God.
The next song we'd like to minister, the Lord gave it to me. Actually, I was going through a rough period, and I was praying, and I was sitting in the bottom of my son's closet, Indian style, and just crying out to God. Oh God, blah, 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 blah. Oh God, blah, 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 blah. And he spoke. Because sometimes we go through things and we think that other people matter more to God. And sometimes we may feel overlooked. But he encouraged me, and I encourage you tonight. Because he said, doesn't matter who in his arms he's holding. Doesn't matter who he stops to heal. Doesn't matter how many prayers he answers. There's still space in his arms for me. Doesn't matter who he needs to comfort. Doesn't matter whose loss that he finds. Doesn't matter how many come before me. There's still space in his arms for me. Yeah, space in his arms. Yeah. There's more than enough room. Space in his arms. Yeah, plenty of room. Yes, there is space in his arms. Yeah. Space in his arms for me. Doesn't matter who in his arms he's holding. Doesn't matter who he stops to heal. Doesn't matter how many prayers he answers. There's still space in his arms for me. Doesn't matter who he needs to comfort. Doesn't matter whose loss that he finds. Doesn't matter how many come before me. There's still space in his arms for me. Yeah, space in his arms. Oh, there's more than enough room. Space in his arms. Plenty of room, plenty of room, plenty of room. Space in his arms. Oh, plenty of room, plenty of room. Space in his arms for me. Oh, space in.
We are back. You've tuned in to Working with What You Got. I'm your host, Renee Joshua Porter, and you just saw the premiere of my documentary, Until Then. It was an interview with single women talking about their faith, talking about men, talking about the possibility of staying single. And I actually have two of the volunteers on the line. I have Talia. She's on the line. Talia, say hello to the people.
Hi, how are you?
Okay. And I also have Kim. Kim's on the line. Kim,
hello, Renee. Hello, Working with What You Got audience.
Okay. Now, do you want to share with the audience, since we've shot that documentary, are there anything that you would change, or what are your views still when it comes to being single? I'm glad that I got both of you because you both had some very poignant statements that you made. I remember, Talia, you gave a statement where you said, I have the ability to make other women act really ugly. I mean, somebody might say that's kind of conceited or it's narcissistic, but I thought it was actually very honest. So, Talia, you want to expound upon that?
I found out a couple of things about myself as I've gotten older, and I've actually come into who I am as a woman. And I stand by that statement that I can make women act very ugly, and women, it's across socioeconomic lines. So I've had the situation happen to me with people of a certain education level, income level, and even race. I walk into a room and I really command it, and this isn't something that I was born with, or maybe I was and I just didn't discover it. And I'm outgoing. Sometimes I am shy. Sometimes I'm a little withdrawn. But for the most part, I know who I am, and I really embrace who I am, and I make people laugh, and I have really no fear, and that puts people off. I've been accused of maybe being too flirtatious, and that's not even really a part of my situation. when I laugh too much, or when I express myself. And I say it's too bad for them because I'm not going to stop being me. I'm never obnoxious, but I'm just who I am.
Now, Okima, what do you think? What do you think about that? What's been your interaction with other women? What have you found? You heard what Talia said?
Yes, absolutely. And I would say that right now, at my age, because it's going to be my birthday in a couple of weeks here, and I'm going to be 48. So I think my interactions with women, I'm really starting to pay attention to generational interactions and where I'm at, and trying to remember where I was at when I was maybe 25 or 26, you know?
Good point.
And I think there's a lot of pressure in our society for women to remain ever youthful, ever young, and a lot of women get into the trap of trying to be forever 21. There's a difference between being youthful and vibrant and healthy, which can be done at any age, and then simply being immature or trying to dress like your daughter and speak like your daughter. I think I've become much more comfortable taking that role now at this age as an older woman and looking at younger women, and I'm very comfortable with giving them advice, and I'm very comfortable with the phrase, when I was your age. And that doesn't make me feel old. It just makes me grateful that I have lived this long and God has gotten me this far, and I have learned some things along the way.
Okay, so let me ask you both something. Talia, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, and Kim, you can hear me. Let me ask you something. How do you feel as women of faith? Should your view on being single be different than a woman who maybe doesn't subscribe to the faith that you have, that's not Christian, that, maybe just has a different mindset? What should be different? Should you navigate differently? And do you see it being done? Who wants to answer first?
I'll go. I would say, yes, there absolutely should be a difference. There should be a difference in your standards as far as what you're looking for in a mate. There should be a difference in how the relationship should go, what you're looking for. I find a lot of women, I'm just talking about women in my age range, they act from a place of lack, a place of desperation, a place of having a void that needs to be filled. A woman of faith never operates from a place of lack. I'm not out there trying to find somebody to fulfill me or to complete me. I'm out there looking for someone who's going to compliment me. I'm coming from a place of, I can offer you. My life is so full. My life is so wonderful. I'm simply looking for somebody to share the ride. Join the party. I'm not looking for someone to fill a space.
Well, let me ask you, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you arrived at that, right, Kim?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You definitely arrive at it. And I really do not judge women at all harshly, especially women who are older, who may not have ever been married or don't have kids. And that may have been a very strong desire in their life that simply was never fulfilled. So a lot of that, they may be operating from a place of that kind of emotion, that intense longing that I don't know. So right now, my children are grown. I've been married. I don't have, I guess you would call it white dress fever. I really just don't.
Okay. All right, let me ask Talia, what's your comments? What's your take on it?
Well, I agree with Akima. A woman of faith, we really do have to operate on a different level. Doesn't make us better, but we have a different standard that we have to follow. And I agree. We shouldn't be operating from an area of lack or just willing just to go along with societal norms. Because I always say that if the world thinks you can do something, chances are it's not the right thing for you. And I think that everything you do really has to be, you have to go back to the scriptures. So, as I've gotten older, I think I've probably gotten a little bit more difficult to please. And it's what I probably would have put up with years ago. I just won't do it now after having been married I put up with a few things because I actually thought, and it maybe was a little bit of an arrogance on my part, that I thought that I could actually change the man. Now, I know that you don't change a person, but I thought that he would be so taken with what I was about that he would be willing to change some areas. And I found that, you know, as we get older, we just don't change that easily or that readily. And whoever the person we are, we really don't stray that far from it. So
that's a great point. That's a really good point. Who we are, we don't stray that far from it. Well, we're going to take a commercial, but when we come back, because I know you guys are kind of in my age group, even though you're older than me.
Okay, that's okay.
And when we come back, I'm going to ask Milani to join in the conversation because she's a whole nother generation, and a lot of times she thinks that our view is from a view that's kind of lopsided. So I would just like to hear her take on it when we come back after this commercial, okay? We'll be right back.
YesWeCare.net is a 501c3 charity that provides help to veterans and their families. Please visit YesWeCare.net and donate in any way you can by purchasing our beautiful framed prints or relaxation CDs and DVDs, even smooth jazz CDs. YesWeCare.net. Remember, our troops are on their way home. They need all the support they can get. YesWeCare.net.
All right. I'm trying to get in the scene here. Oh, my
get it down.
All right, I'm in. Hi. Hi, I'm Karen Vito. Hi, and I'm Regina Galley. We're here doing a show called Shake It Up, right? And Shake Up stands for style, health, attitude, kindness, entertainment.
That's right. But really, it's more about gossip.
Yes.
That's what we do, we gossip.
We like to gossip. We like to gossip, interview people. We're going to have some health tips. We're going to tell you what's in, what's not.
Yeah, there's
We're
a
gonna
lot
have
of things that's not in, though. I really want to focus on what's not in.
People don't know what's age
They make
appropriate.
mistakes. They just make mistakes. So we're going to correct those mistakes.
Yeah. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., so we want you to join us. And we're also going to have a great segment on health and what's new.
Wellness.
Yes,
Wellness.
health and wellness. What's
very
new,
important
what's
to
not.
us.
Yeah.
We work really hard with that. We coach a lot of people through that.
Yep.
So you're going to join us.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
You're going to get healthy.
Yeah. And you're going to have a good time. Oh, and we're also going to have the curse jar.
Yes. I love that.
That's going to be awesome. $5, for fuck's sake.
Come see us in the morning.
Bye. Join us.
Hello, we are back. You've tuned in to Working With What You Got. I'm your host, Renee Joshua Porter. We just viewed the documentary Until Then. It was a conversation with single women about faith, about men, about the possibility of remaining single. And I have two of our participants, Talea and Kim, on the line. And they're talking about their views about being single. And they are, although very savvy and also very attractive and dynamic, they are also in my age range. So it might be a little lopsided. So I've invited Milani into the conversation. Milani, as we talk, we want to see your take on it. Okay, let me just tell you this. Before the break, Milani said, I don't want to talk about relationships with you because I'm her mother. So Milani, can you get past that?
Sure.
And just say, based on the film, you saw the film, what are your take? What about it was interesting? Were there some things you agreed with, some things you didn't agree, some things you wanted to see covered? What are your thoughts?
I think I wanted to see, first of all, I love the documentary. I think it was great, and I really appreciated the commentary from all of the women.
Okay.
I think I would have liked to see, I guess, some perspective on, how they feel about all of the relationship material, advice, guidance is always geared towards women. And that's something that I have an issue with, because I feel like we're pressured to be perfect and men are allowed to be subpar. And I have an issue with that, because if we're always trying to modify and correct ourselves, we want to be with someone who's also on a quest for self-improvement. It can't be lopsided. I can't be constantly trying to improve and better myself if you're not doing the same. And I feel like that's not always addressed when we talk about singleness, especially in church and in faith. We don't really speak about the duties of a man and who he's supposed to be. It's always what the women do wrong, you know, what the women need to do to change themselves, and that's something I don't agree with.
Okay, but you know, it might be arguable, but it's pretty much a male-dominated society. So, you know, that's going to be a perspective. And that doesn't make us less than or make us inferior. It's just a perspective. I mean, ladies, do you want to chime in? You heard what she said. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say that in a way, I do agree with Melanie a little bit.
Yes, Kim's talking.
Women are under more pressure to keep themselves up, keep themselves pretty, keep that, you know, we're always on this quest for perfection. And I think culturally, I think that's almost instilled in us. We have beauty contests for women. We don't have beauty contests for men. Women are almost culturalized to compete and improve, whereas men, you know, like she said, it's almost we have to accept them as they are to prove how loving and forgiving and understanding we are. And some of us get into a lot of trouble with that because we will pick up subpar men in the hope that I call it the one-man mission field, you know, that we're going to take this guy and we're going to, well, he has potential. Well, no, you don't want somebody with potential. You want somebody who's already there. You know, in the garden, God didn't send Eve when Adam had potential. It's when he was finished and when he was completed and when he had proved himself, that's when Eve came along.
Okay, well, hold on. Well, hold on 1 second. I just want to throw it out there because we're not coming from a place of, and I don't feel like this is how you were saying it, Wills, because I mean, I totally agree with, I happen to call Kim Wills, so if you don't wonder who I'm talking about. Well, we're not coming from that place because I totally agree with what you're saying. We're not coming from a male bashing place by any sense.
No,
right?
No,
not at all.
So
how do you tweak it, Melanie? How do you tweak it when, you know, from your generation, what do you see that Christian single women are facing now in your generation?
In my opinion, I think the main issue that young Christian women are struggling with is knowing how far you can go with someone without committing sin. I think that's the main issue that a lot of women deal with. It's not so much attracting guys. I don't think that's the issue, because I think, from my own opinion, the young Christian women that I know attract all different types of men. It's just once you find someone that you kind of connect with, now what do we do? You know, if this relationship is not going to lead to marriage, then what's the point? I think that's the main thing. A lot of Christian women don't want to date for no reason or just date for recreation. So
you think there needs to be instruction on how to court?
Yes.
Or how to, and so you mean not according to the world's view then?
Yes.
That's interesting. So where do you get that from? Where do you get that template from?
The template for what?
The template on how to court or how to date according to this Christian standard that you have established. Where do you get it from? Are you getting it from reality TV? Are you getting it from Love and Hip Hop? Where do you get it from?
I don't know where you get it from, because I remember one time someone saying that the term boyfriend is not in the Bible. So you hear husbands, you hear wives, you don't hear girlfriend and boyfriend. So I don't really think there is a template for how to be a Christian boyfriend or how to be a Christian girlfriend. I don't. So I don't really have an answer for that. I think there's a manual on how to be a wife. There's a biblical manual on how to be a husband. But God doesn't say how to be a girlfriend.
So that's interesting. Did you hear that, ladies?
Yeah, yes, you're absolutely right.
Did you hear that?
I can't really hear that well.
Okay, well, Talia, what she...
No, I can. I hear you perfectly.
Okay. What Melanie just said was, does God have a template on how to be a girlfriend? Does he have a template on how to be a boyfriend? Now, what I could say is there may not be a template or a chapter that says this is the boyfriend chapter or this is the girlfriend chapter, but it does talk about how to be an individual that's in right standing with him. And when we work on becoming an individual that's in right standing with him, he then will guide you in your decision making along the way. Right? That's what we do. We get in tune to the Maker, right? And as we get in tune to our Maker, that's how we're working with what we got. What we got is God, and what we have is the Holy Spirit, and he will guide you on how to be that better person. And as you're that better person, then you will know along the way. I think what happens is we still try to fit it into the mold of what the world says, and that's where we get frustrated.
Right, absolutely.
That's where the frustration comes. Well, you know what? We can continue to talk. I want to hear more about it. I want to hear more from you. Please join us. You can tune in to my website, www.burningbushfamily.com. I would love to get your emails. You can see me on Facebook. You can see our page, Working With What You Got. I know that you have a lot to say. We want to hear from you. I want to hear from Christians that are single. I want to hear from non-Christians that are single. I just want to hear your opinion. We want to hear from men. We want to hear from women. We want to hear what you have to say about that. I hope you really enjoyed yourself. And remember, free your mind and the rest will follow. See you next week.